Hi everybody, welcome to Willie's Guitars. So it's this time of year we start hanging with family and stuff, and for guitar people, our family sometimes are the musicians we listen to over the years. Gibsons have a really cool history, and Fender kind of invented the solid body guitar, but Gibson followed up right away. Being the oldest company, they were slow to pick up the ball, but Les Paul had 30 hits by 1952 when Gibson first introduced the Les Paul, and it was his idea to actually make it gold, to be elegant, to look cool. And so this 1954 Les Paul has original hang tags, and look how clean it is. I'll hold it up inside the light here. This is just a remarkable condition. There is nothing about this guitar. It has original hang tags, and it's just big neck. You know, people collect older things because of the history. Back in the day for Gibson, they have a very small factory. There's only a few hundred of these out there, and that's all the factory needed to keep their workers in place. Now the factory is 10 if not 100 times larger than it was in the mid-50s. It's kind of like that for comic books or watches too. Comic books are rare because it was the first print of the comic book, or not many people were buying that particular comic book. Watches are like that too. You know, Rolexes were really tool watches. In the world of collectibles, it's also about quality of materials. So Les Paul, they continued with the Les Paul Special, and this is another super clean example. And in a TV finish. They made these in red and cherry cherry red finishes, and that TV finish. And then they ended the line with this, which is the most expensive guitar in the world. This is a late 50s Les Paul standard. It is really expensive. It's as much as a house. So, and they've always gone up in value. Even the 60s, these seem to be crazy expensive at $1,200. In the 70s, at $2,500, these were crazy. Now they're 100 times that. So that is a beautiful guitar. I'll show you again in flame. That's coming up for sale soon. And you know, it's interesting to point out history-wise that Elvis Presley, when his hits came out, it was 55 that his first hit came out, Heartbreak Hotel, Hound Dog. Within 1 year, half the records in America sold were Elvis records. He dominated. And in 1958, Elvis joined the Army. And at that point in time, really, rock kind of tapered off and slowed down. And excuse me, I'm going to put this back in its case before I drop it. At that time, about 1961, Gibson changed the Les Paul to this double cutaway design. From 61 till 68, there was no single cut Les Pauls. There was Les Pauls with the SG shape, but Les Paul apparently was upset by the shape. He didn't like the double cutaway design. I've even heard rumors that he was going through a divorce and just wanted to discontinue the program. So they didn't put his name on the guitars on the SGs. This is an exceptionally clean 1961. By the way, only in 61 do you have this angled bridge like this. And these Les Paul specials, you can see this is a Les Paul special, and this is a Les Paul special. So during the 60s, you couldn't buy a single cut Les Paul. You could buy 335s. And in this time period, in 1963, the Beatles hadn't hit, the Stones, the Who. There was the Shirelles, the Ronettes. R&B had gotten big, but mostly it was a lot of crooners. There wasn't a lot of rock and roll. These guitars were made with their center block like this. This 63, with its Stoptale, most had Bigsby's, is an extremely rare guitar. Again, at this point, the factory had grown quite a bit, but still not to the amount it is now, not even close. So this 1963 Stoptale Cherry Red ES 335 is just like the one Clapton famously played when Cream came around. So in 1968, there was Cream, Steppenwolf. The Rolling Stones had their hit in '68. The Who came on board. Jimi Hendrix's best record, perhaps, was in 1968. So much was happening in 1968. Music was changing. These old guitars started going up in value. So, and this is kind of the point of this whole video, they reintroduced the Les Paul in 1968, absent from 1961 until August of 1968. And then they reintroduced the Les Paul, this one with its original hang tags, this 1968 Les Paul Custom. And they did the customs with the Super 400 headstock. That was at the behest of Les Paul himself. They called up Les Paul, ring ring, hello Les Paul, we're thinking of bringing back the guitar. If we make it single cutaway, would you come on board with it? Yes, he would. And so the Les Paul, being in slightly higher demand in the late 60s, did come back. These 68s, there's only 433 shipped in 68. A 69 is a different guitar. There's early features like the open O and the open B. There is, on these 68s, no Made in USA stamp, no volute. This is a one-piece neck and a one-piece body. This has the skinny binding in here. It has the long tenon here too. So the back of the neck goes into the body. It's joined inside of the body just like it is in the 50s. By 69, they didn't do that. The neck tenon was gone. The output of the pickups is significantly more too. I don't know that Gibson did that on purpose because they really weren't trying to be rock and roll. They were still trying to make guitars that did not feed back. Oh, what the heck. Fun, huh? So, this is a 1968 Les Paul, perhaps one of the rarest Les Pauls. 50s ones are great investments. 50s Les Pauls, if you can afford it, get it. Buy two, because they go up in value all the time. These 68s have been around a long time, but 68s were chased even in the mid-70s as really a super cool guitar. We're offering this one that's coming up for sale soon, 100% original, no breaks, hang tags, original case. There's things like an original set of strings in here. This is a really cool guitar. So there you go. That's my little lecture series on Gibson through the 50s. And then they stopped making Les Pauls. And then they came back and made a Les Paul, and this is one of those, a 1968 Les Paul Custom, a very rare guitar, a very heavily chased guitar, and we're going to show it in all its glory. Look at the yellowed binding against the gold hardware. That's one of the things about these old customs, where the yellowed binding comes out and makes the gold hardware stand out, and makes the yellow binding stand out, and makes the gold hardware. You get what I'm going from? Yeah. Call us. Make an appointment. See any of this. Thanks.